What's up, guys? Welcome back for another video. Today I am going to be talking about wavelengths and energy levels. I think for me, if I can articulate or I can see like a visual, it really helps me kind of articulate and understand myself more because, that's what I'm really trying to do with this channel is understand myself more, maybe help you understand yourself more by thinking of certain things and just examining your own life. This is not meant to be like a very, forceful video of like things the way you have to do anything. But this specific one is, I'm going to be talking about just wavelengths in general. And the reason why I say wavelengths is because for me in my life, the times when I'm best and the most functional is when I am kind of working in a cohesive pattern with my body. And what I mean by that is I feel like it's very mainstream right now to be very much focused on how much output you can get out there and how much you can just keep this huge high energy spike all the time. How, everyone talks about get more energy here, get more energy there. But I think so much of it has to do with understanding where our highs and our lows are, where our dips and our valleys are, right? And I think for me, even with these videos, I think my past video, I tried, and it's coming to me right now, is that I tried so hard to push this high energy, when in reality, what I could have done is just kind of rode that wave. And, I'm grateful that I'm at least being vulnerable with the camera about this kind of thing. But ultimately, I think what I kind of like want to get to is, if I think about my body, right, as this vehicle that I have to be able to take and do things with, like I'm trying to come up with ideas, I'm working out, I am, going to work, I have these relationships, right? And all of that takes some sort of energy. And I think what it looks like for most of us is like, we feel great sometimes when we have these huge spikes of energy where we can do a lot. Then we have these lower levels of energy where occasionally we get upset at ourselves because we're just tired, and it sometimes happens midday. For me, it happens more often than not in the afternoon. But we have these peaks and valleys, right? And I noticed that, and this is a very common theme, I think, within most people, is getting frustrated when you get tired. But something that I think about a lot is, what would my life look like if I were to be okay with myself in these low energy states and just be able to ride them out and kind of just gently pass myself on to the next, high energy state, right? That's kind of what that wavelength looks like. And I think, on a quantum level, all of us are just waves, right? We're waves, we're energy. We're not necessarily particles when you get really, really nitty gritty into the atom. And therefore, if we treat ourselves like that wave, we treat ourselves like we are, just a pattern. We're going to have highs, we're going to have lows. And I don't even mean like negative, positive. I mean, we're going to have these moments where we're high energy and when we're low energy. And that doesn't mean that one of them is worse than the other. And I've been working to try to separate that in my mind. The high energy doesn't always necessarily mean positive, and the low energy does not always mean negative. You're just working with a body that is maybe progressive and has a high amount of ATP or energy levels in your body. And when you go down, it doesn't always mean that I'm in a horrible state, right? And I think what happens a lot of times is, like, in those low periods, our body might actually be just killing off old dead cells, which is part of life, right? Or dead cells, bacteria, whatever. And we go through these catabolic states where the actual rest itself is so essential. And it's not even just the rest itself, but the dying off. And I kind of want to touch on this too, because this is a big part of spirituality in general and just life in general, is being willing to accept the death. And I think for me, that death process is something, if I can accept that right now in the afternoon when I'm tired and I'm accepting this death of my own, of the cells in my body, then it gives way for more cells, more newer, higher growth patterns, more energy in the future maybe. But ultimately, I'm not allowing myself to be human if I don't allow that death process to happen. And so if we can be okay with ourselves in those depths when we're tired or when we're slower, then we come out on the other side. And honestly, it's more so just being okay with ourselves throughout the whole thing, so that we can be always in a mindset that's careful of what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and not necessarily pushing through it, because what that's created for myself is a lot of unhealthy patterns of self-hatred. So it's an odd thing that I'd be upset at myself for being tired. Like, I want to have this high energy, right? But occasionally, actually 50% or maybe just less than 50% of the time, I am in this, lower state. And it has nothing to do with how good I am, how much energy, like how valuable I am as a person. It's just a little bit lower energy. And it makes me think of this idea that, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And I think within ourselves that we have these moments where, we want to be on top of the world. We want to have all this high energy, but occasionally, and it's just part of life, we have to actually die. And that goes for patterns and things like that. But a big part of it is just being able to let our old self die, like our old bacteria, and I think when you can accept that and you let your body do that cycle, you can give it joy and grace for yourself. And it doesn't do anything other than allow your body to go through that process smoothly. All you're doing is interrupting that pattern if you're getting thrown through that. And I think for me, I'll typically share a story, and so this is kind of my story for this sort of principle. But I have had bouts of depression in my life and anxiety, and I think a lot of what has happened in the past is my self-worth has not been amazing, and one of the reasons, there's a bunch of reasons for that, and it goes with being human and trying to get through this life and try to figure out things. But for me, one of the things that caused my anxiety and depression was being very forceful with myself when I was low energy, and feeling inadequate when I had low energy. There would be moments and days, maybe a couple days at a time too, where I'm feeling low energy. There's maybe a month, and all I'm doing is trying to push through that barrier of low energy to get to the higher energy. And when I couldn't do it, when I felt lower than the energy that I wanted, I wanted to be playing ball, I wanted to be, getting great grades, all this stuff, but I wouldn't let myself actually just let myself die, honestly. And it's just bacteria and things I said. So what would happen was I would think, you've got to get yourself together. You've got to get back into a state where you're high energy so that you can perform like you should be. And that's where the should be thing kind of can hurt you especially with energy, is should I really be having this high energy? Is this natural? Should I really be forcing myself through this barrier? I don't really know. And I think the more that I allow that process to go, it's doing something interesting to my creativeness and the ability for me to take a challenge and to massage it and not try to go all the way through it with some random answer. I can allow it to go through the entire wavelength and for me to actually encompass and embody like these new things that are in my life instead of trying to forcefully get through something. If right now it takes a little bit of time and for me to get it massaged into my body. And I think, that goes along with YouTube for me for sure, where there are days where, like my last video, I was like kind of forcing my last video, and it's okay. It's going to be part of the process, I think. But I think today I woke up this morning and felt a little bit more refreshed and ready to do another video. And it's one of those things where I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with that last video, and I'm okay with myself. I'm okay when I get tired. There's going to be days where I don't post. But being okay with those lows and just actually enjoying it too, where you can just be like those lions in the forest, right? You see them laying down on this like huge bed of whatever you call like the grass out there. And even like the kings of the jungle do these big yawns, right? They're all spread out. And I think if we can kind of, I kind of imagine myself like that, right? And if I can be like the king of the jungle, right? I also need to sleep and to rest like the king of the jungle. I need to let that stuff run through me and die off so that the new stuff can come in. And that's not only like, again, with spirituality, it's just with the physicality, it's with your body, right? And letting your body do those cycles is essential for us to be, on this earth. And so I think with that, those are kind of some ideas that I have. And it's like the question that comes up is like, what would my life look like if I was okay with myself in every energy level? How would I be treating myself if when I felt tired, I just let myself be tired? Even if I was working or if I was playing ball, I have a feeling that if I'm just a little bit tired and I don't press myself and I'm still in a state where I'm understanding of my body, I just feel like those times are going to be more, even when I'm tired and I'm still working or I'm still doing something and I let my body still kind of be low energy, what would my life look like? Like, how would I treat myself? And I think when I do that, it gives me a more positive spin on my life, thinking, man, I think if I were to allow myself to do that, then I would just enjoy my life a little bit more. And I think that's part of what this is being able to enjoy your life so you can take on more if that's what you want to do. And I think and just experience more in general. And I think that's what we want to do as humans. We want to just keep experiencing, right? So I think with that, I'm just very lucky to be here. Love sharing what I'm learning along my path, and how, this is kind of a crazy path, right? And we have these ups and downs as far as just not even ups and downs as like challenges. We just have these energy levels, right? That change and that fluctuate. So I think with that, that'll be it for today. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you later.